What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. How are we all getting on? It is the football power rankings. We're going to be ranking every county from 32 to 1 in the country. Obviously, 31 counties plus London. Obviously, Kilkenny don't play senior football, but we're going to be ranking all the teams who participate throughout the National Football League, throughout the All-Ireland, Tailteann Cup, etc. Debating which counties should be in what places. And basically how this power rankings works usually. Is basically just who's better, like who's the better team overall. Obviously, you're taking in recent meetings between certain counties. You're taking in what counties have achieved last year, how counties have started the league. Like there's kind of multiple factors, in my opinion, anyway, that sort of rank the power rankings. And yeah, these power rankings will be my opinion, and then Matthew is basically going to dissect them and see which ones he disagrees with, agrees with, and we're going to basically just have a chat about every county sort of so far in the Gaelic football season. So yeah, Matthew, first of all, how's things? And I suppose no football this weekend. Maybe not the best time to do a power rankings for Cork, considering the opening two games. But to be fair, we will be factoring in last season as well. So it's not just going to be solely on the league this year. But how's things anyway? Have you gotten over that Cork defeat yet, or is it still lingering with you?
Yeah, it's okay, and thanks for having me on again, Aaron. Like, I think probably the best thing that happened to me this week was all the busyness this week. Like, I've been upgraded to present the Limerick Voice podcast this week, so check that out tomorrow. I think that should be out tomorrow morning. And a load of assignments this week in terms of reports and things like that. So it's kind of taking my mind off the Cork loss in many ways, but it's still kind of in my head now, and you just want to just forget it ever happened. And tomorrow, Saturday now, the Cork Hurlers are up against Kilkenny, so hopefully they just boost the mood of the county by winning as well. So yeah, the Sigurdsson Cup is another thing that's kind of taken my mind off at their semi-finals tonight. So best luck to UL there against UCD, my own college. So yeah, it should be an interesting video here.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And anyone who's tuning in, like, let us know your sort of rankings of some of this team of these counties as well. So we'll crack into it anyway. And we'll first of all we'll look at 32 through to 23. So as you can see here, I've got Waterford in 32, London in 31, Longford in 30, Tipperary 29, Limerick 28, Carlow 27, Wexford 26, Leitrim 25, Laois 24, and Wicklow 23. Like when I was putting this together, I was like, it feels a bit harsh on Longford putting them in 30, but at the same time, like they've lost their opening two games of the league. They obviously had a very poor enough league last year, and I don't know if you can really justify putting Longford above anyone else right now. But what do you think about that list there?
Trying to think, I think I personally put Carlow and Wexford above Leitrim, maybe Limerick as well. I think Leitrim's a bit too high there. Laois, I think that's fair enough for now. I think they could even rise as the league goes on. Wicklow's fair enough. I think the bottom four, I know Longford, I predicted them to go up, but that loss against Tipperary was detrimental last week, so probably the right move to put them there. So I think the only qualm I'd have with that one is putting Leitrim so high. I'd actually put Leitrim 28th, and I'd put Limerick, Carlow, and Wexford all over the place. But that's just my opinion there. But I think the rest is all ballpark there. Waterford was the obvious one, 32nd. London again, obvious. Tipperary, probably ahead because of that win against Longford last week. So yeah, personally, Aaron, I think you're overrating Leitrim a bit, but other than that, I think it's spot on.
Yeah. Like I still think of I still rank Leitrim quite highly. Like even though I know they only played London and Waterford in their opening two games, but like I would fancy them to get promoted. To be fair, like alongside Laois, I think Carlow will probably be in the mix as well. Maybe Longford might come back into it. Maybe Wexford might be in the conversation. But I still do have high hopes for Leitrim in many ways. Like they were very close to promotion last season. Obviously, narrowly missed out. Obviously, things went very badly in the Tailteann Cup. But I suppose it's one of them where we'll find out more as the season goes on. But I'd still kind of fancy Leitrim to go on a bit of a promotion charge, to be honest with you.
The thing is, though, in the Tailteann Cup last year, and we're going back to last season on this too, they lost, I think, all three games. They lost against New York as well, who aren't even in these rankings. So I don't get how Leitrim could be higher than the likes of Carlow, Wexford, and especially Limerick. I know Limerick struggled in Division 3 this season, especially, but they were in Division 2 was recently to that as last season for a reason. And you have the likes of Ian Corbett there, Killian Fahy. And let's not forget in Division 3, like Antrim are going well at the moment. They lost to them. They lost to Down, which was always going to happen. Down or superior sides to them. So again, to put Leitrim above Limerick, I'm not sure about that one either. Maybe above Carlow and Wexford is justified enough, but I think above Limerick is a bit far in my opinion, considering Limerick were in Division 2 last season.
I think it's just how Limerick have started the season. Like I know Down are obviously a very good side, and but they got absolutely hammered by Down, and then they were beaten fairly comfortably by Antrim as well, like 7 points. It's quite a margin. Like I think they've the worst score difference across all 4 divisions so far after 2 games. So it's been a really slow start for Limerick, as you said. In the Tailteann Cup, they showed a little bit of resurgence last year. Last season's a difficult one to judge because for a county like Limerick to get up to Division 2 in the first place is an incredible achievement, and obviously you had everything that happened with Ray Dempsey and the changes in management. It's just hard to not really know where Limerick are at, to be honest with you. And I suppose maybe it's the timing of doing these power rankings. Like if I'm doing these, maybe I might turn this into a weekly thing. Maybe we can swap and change these counties around. But I feel like if I'm doing this maybe in a few weeks, I'll probably put Limerick higher. But I think it's just on the basis of those 2 defeats combined with a very disappointing year last year. But yeah, I suppose it'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks.
Will do, but the thing is, Limerick need to win a game in Division 3. But at the same time, I know they are struggling in Division 3, but to put them lower than Leitrim, who didn't get out of the group in the Tailteann Cup last year, who've only beaten, let's be honest, the 2 worst teams in Division 4 so far, I still need a bit more evidence from Leitrim to suggest that they're higher than you suggested. So yeah, that's just my argument. I just think Leitrim need a big win. They need a win over a Laois, a Wexford, a Carlow, just to boost their confidence a small bit, because wins over Waterford and London, to be honest, are no disrespect to those counties, but they mean absolutely nothing, to be honest.
Yeah, I suppose it is early days, all right. And I think Leitrim, I think they have Laois, Longford, and I think Carlow maybe away from home, all in a row. They definitely have Laois and Longford away from home back to back anyway. So that's going to be such a huge week for Leitrim. Ronan says here, Dara Rooney, Leitrim baller. Yeah, he started the season very, very well for Leitrim, in fairness. And yeah, I suppose it's going to be interesting, most definitely, to see the next couple of games for Leitrim. Gaelic guy says Laois better than Wicklow, I say. Yeah, like I suppose it's one of them where some counties are probably at an even spectrum, realistically. Like there's probably some counties on this list as well that, you could probably put them in the same number. And Laois and Wicklow, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference between them. I think the reason why I went for Wicklow above Laois was just because Wicklow got promoted last year ahead of Laois. I think they beat Laois in the league. I think they beat them the last time they played them in the championship as well. So that's really where my thinking was. But again, if Wicklow get relegated and Laois get promoted, you could then justify putting Laois above Wicklow. What would be your take on Laois and Wicklow? Like, would you have Wicklow ranked better than Laois at the minute, or how would you go about it?
The thing is with Wicklow, though, they're in a higher division than Laois, and they lost to Down, who are ranked way higher than nearly everybody else in Division 3 by only 5 points. And they have a player in Kevin Quinn who scored 10 points so far in Division 3. So I think, again, like Leitrim, I need to see a bit more from Laois. I know they beat Longford, granted. They beat, I forget the team now. Oh, Wexford. They beat them last week. But they need to beat more sides in and around, the likes of Carlow, etc., even more Division 3 teams. Like, it'd be interesting, actually, if Laois come up against Wicklow in the championship and see how that goes. But as of now, I still think Wicklow have probably a better settled team than Laois and have better players than Laois at this present moment in time. You've Owen Darcy, you've Kevin Quinn. Like the thing is, well, Wicklow are missing one of their most influential players in Division 3 this year, Mark Jackson. And arguably, if he was there, they might have picked more points up than they have so far. So I still would slightly have Wicklow above Laois, but just about.
Just about. Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. In fairness, next on the list is 21 or 22 down to 13. So we have Sligo 22, Clare 21, Offaly 20, Antrim 19, Kildare 18, Westmeath 17, Down 16, Meath are at 15, Cavan are at 14, and Fermanagh are at 13. Thoughts on that?
few things here I'm trying to think of it. Kildare, yeah, I guess so. Given their performances, you have to put them down in 18, don't you? I'd have personally, I know it's Munster boys, but I'd have Clare above Offaly and Antrim because of their performances over the last few seasons. They beat Roscommon 2 years ago. They still have a good pedigree there. And as well, with all the players they've been missing, they probably should have beaten Westmeath, but for a refereeing decision last week as well. So I personally have them above both Offaly and Antrim, just below Kildare. Westmeath, I definitely have above Kildare at this present moment in time. It's a tough. I'd actually put Meath, Cavan, and Fermanagh above my own County Cork right now. I would think so anyway. Like I just think Mead have a good thing going at the moment. Cavan are in good form, lose it to Donegal by just a point. And for Mana, honestly, but it looks at their performance against Kildare, I just don't. I just in the Tampton Cup, I thought they didn't really care about the competition. And if they cared enough about it, I think they would have gone on a run on it. So yeah, I'd probably make those changes. But I think the main change on that list would be clear about both Offaly and Antrim.
Yeah, like I suppose between Sligo, Clare, Offaly, Antrim, like they are very hard counties to rank. Like, and if I had done this a few weeks ago, I think I definitely would have had probably Offaly above Antrim. Like I did predict Antrim to get relegated from Division 3, but given the fact that Antrim, beat Offaly just a couple of weeks ago, I do think you'd probably have to put Offaly above them. And yeah, Kildare, I think at 18 again, like there was nearly a part of me that wanted to put Antrim above Kildare. To be honest, I nearly feel like if they were to play each other tomorrow, I nearly wouldn't be surprised if Antrim beat them, to be honest with you, just given the form of Kildare. But at the same time, it is important to remember Kildare were in the last 12 of the All-Ireland last year. We're very close to beating Dublin. I still think there is a lot of talent in Kildare. They're just obviously on a very poor run this year and probably for the last few years, in all honesty. Yeah, like I was kind of not sure about the Cork. Like I do have Cork in number 12, and we'll get onto that maybe in a moment. But I just think because Cork were all in quarter finalists in the last two seasons, that was justifiable enough to put them in there. Like when you look at Mead, Cavan, Fermanagh, like Fermanagh and Cavan have been Tailteann Cup teams for the last couple of years, playing around Division 3. Obviously, both promoted. Mead obviously ended up in the Tailteann Cup last year as well, had a very poor league. So that's the reason why I've got Cork above them. But again, you could argue with the form of Fermanagh and Cavan this year that if we were to revisit this at the end of the year in a couple of weeks' time, maybe then you'd put them above Cork. But I don't know if those two counties have done enough just yet. Maybe Cavan you could argue because obviously they won an Ulster title a good couple of years ago, and they probably are used to this level a lot more so than Fermanagh. But I still think those counties maybe have a bit more to do this season. But it is sort of, if you look at the trajectory of this season, probably is looking likely that those counties are going to have a better year than Cork.
My argument with Cork down so low is mainly Kildare down in 18 and Cork were 12. And I just think both of those sides are very, very similar. The fact, Cavan and Fermanagh above Cork, I would actually agree with that. I would say Kildare and Cork are at a similar trajectory at the moment. Both have very good players, both have underrated success, both have success in relevant school levels. Both of them are struggling badly at senior intercounty, and it's just because of tactics on the pitch. And I think Cork and Kildare are on that kind of same level. The more you say about me, I kind of agree with it. I just think they're a young team that are coming up through the ranks. Watch Meath in the next few years. You have Oisin O'Verku there. You have Rory Kinsella. You have Owen Frayne. Of course, you still have Jordan Morris and Matthew Costello, all them buzzing around as well. Shane Walsh will be fully fit this year. So I think the potential is unbelievable in Meath at the moment. And a lot of them players are doing well, especially in Sigurdsson level. We'll see Owen Frayne and Rory Kinsella tonight from Maynooth University. Definitely worth checking out against Ulster University on TG Car YouTube. So I just think Meath have very good youngsters. And maybe in the next few weeks, even this season, you might see them creep up in the next few weeks. But yeah, it's actually a tough one for Mana in particular, because imagine, Aaron, if they took the Tailteann Cup seriously last year. Yeah. Imagine where we put him, so it's a tough one. It really is. And Cavan, I think Cavan, it's ifs, buts, and maybes. If Cavan had Garrod McKieran and Conor Moyna this season, I think they'd be very up high on the list. I really think so. So, yeah, it's a tough one, but I just think Cork and Kildare so far apart, considering both are on similar trajectories. I think that's a bit off, in my opinion. But I could see why you're putting Kildare down in 18, especially because of the performances. They've been absolutely diabolical to the Lilywhites.
Absolutely. Yeah. Daniel says here, to be fair, looking at Laois back in Division 1 and 2 not too long ago and being in Leinster finals just showed the downfall they've had. Hopefully a re-emergence from a big football and county. Yeah, like I suppose it's obviously very early to tell like whether they'll ever get back to them levels anytime soon. And to be fair, when you look at Laois history, probably even before the years of when Miko was in charge, and they obviously won a Leinster title in 2003, got to the final again in 04 and 05. Pre 2003, Laois, probably weren't at that level. So it's going to be interesting to see with Laois, in fairness, over the next few years. But they could definitely be a contender, you would say, for the Tailteann Cup or maybe even dark horses. Gaelic Ice is maybe Westmeath above Down and Meath maybe. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that because obviously like Westmeath won the Tailteann Cup 2 years ago. They were in the All-Ireland series last year. Meath won the Tailteann Cup last season as well. Like realistically, between Westmeath, Down and Meath, I don't really think there's a lot between a lot of them. I think you probably have to put Meath above Down, given the fact that Meath beat Down in the Tailteann Cup last year and obviously play in a higher division. So I don't know. What do you think? Should Westmeath be higher ranked than Meath? It's a bit of a difficult one to answer, to be fair.
It really is because Westmeath have the players. There's no doubt about that. Ronan O'Toole, John Hazelin, they've won and they competed very well in the All Ireland last year. But like many times with Kildare and Cork, they have the players, but they're very, very inconsistent. Like if it wasn't for that decision the other day, they would have lost to Clare at home. So maybe it is justified to put them as low as possible. Like Down, you look at Down in Division 3, they're wiping out everybody in this division. And I just think that's enough to put them ahead of Westmeath at this present moment in time. And Meath, I think, have a lot of young players coming through and a lot of young players performing at Sigerson level and under 20 level. And that will rise them up over the next few seasons as well. So I do think Westmeath have very good players, but just feel the inconsistency might creep into their game. They lost a few games in Division 3 last year that they shouldn't have, simply. They lost against Louth in the Leinster Championship as well. And I just feel they have the players, but it's about consistency and it's about drive. Like Down have shown so far in Division 3.
Yeah, like what's a realistic ambition or expectation, do you think, for Westmeath football this year? Because I think they're on the other side of the draw in Leinster, so like there could be a real possibility of getting to the All Ireland series maybe via Leinster, maybe more so than Division 3. So like there is a strong chance Westmeath end up back in that All Ireland series later in the year.
I'm actually not sure the rubrics around the draw, but I'm nearly 99% sure they're on the same side as Kildare. And that wouldn't fear them at all. I think Westmeath are definitely capable of beating them. Actually, we haven't mentioned Louth. I know they're the first page or one of the top two pages, and definitely rightly so. I'd be interested to see in the Leinster draw. I'd have to double check what side Louth are on. Are they going to be on the different side of Dublin or on the same side as Dublin? If they're on a different side of Dublin and on the same side as Westmeath and Kildare, I think Louth will have enough for both of them counties. But we'll have to see. Like if Westmeath don't have Louth on that side, they only have Kildare. I think there's a genuine possibility for Westmeath to get to an Leinster final. But again, the consistency, they need to get their performance right. If they don't get their performance right, despite the fact they're playing better than Kildare at this present moment of time, they lose to Kildare if they perform badly. And that's the thing. And Westmeath need to keep their performance level up to compete with the top level teams.
Yeah, just looking at it here, like Louth are on the same side of the draw as Kildare, Westmeath, Wicklow, and Carlow, Wexford, I think. So yeah, there is a strong chance that Louth could end up back in a Leinster final again in a couple of weeks' time. So we'll just go through the power rankings again so far. So we'll start going back here. So in 32 was Waterford, 31 London, 30 Longford, 29 Tipperary, 28 Limerick, 27 was Carlow, 26 was Wexford, 25 was Leitrim, 24 was Laois, and 23 was Wicklow. Let us know any disagreements, any comments on those. And this was the next list. So 22 was Sligo, Clare in 21, Offaly 20th, Antrim 19th, Kildare 18th, Westmeath 17th, Down 16th, Meath 15th, Cavan 14th, and Fermanagh are in 13th. So let's move on to the I suppose the main list right here, looking at 12 all the way down to 1. So we've got Cork in 12th, Louth in 11th, Donegal 10th, Roscommon 9th, Tyrone 8th, Galway 7th, Armagh 6th, Monaghan 5th, Mayo 4th, Derry 3rd, Dublin 2nd, and Kerry 1st. We'll get on to like the top 4, top 6 maybe in just a brief moment, but looking at that, like I suppose the other side from Cork down to Galway, I mean, as I said, like I put Cork in 12th mainly because of the fact that I just don't think Meath, Fermanagh and Cavan have done enough yet to justifiably be above Cork. But Louth in 11th, Donegal 10th, I mean, would you shift any of them around a little bit?
Well, I know your opinions on my opinions on Cork. I think everybody would know that now. I think they should be in the second page, to be honest with you. I think it should be possibly me, possibly Fermanagh in that 12th position. Louth, I absolutely agree, should be in 11th place. And just to comment about Louth, I think someone said that they're more of a team without Sam and they aren't playing above themselves. But the thing is, like, when they came up against in big pressure games last year against the likes of Dublin and Kerry, they folded really, really badly. So that's my worry about Louth in terms of getting up to the top level. If they could push, I'd say, so not Dublin and Kerry, no, but if they can push someone like a Monaghan or an Armagh or all the way in the championship, then I'd start to take them more seriously in the championship in general. Yeah, Louth in the perfect place. I definitely agree. Donegal are 10th. Can you show it again, Aaron, if you don't mind? So Roscommon 9th. Yeah, Tyrone 8th, I agree. Galway. The Galway are frustrating, aren't they? They should be in the top 6, but they like their performances are very, very poor in terms of getting into that top 6 or breaking into it. I don't know. I might be a bit nice for Galway this year. I'd have them above Armagh personally. I'd have Mayo, Monaghan 5th, obviously, but yeah, I still have belief in Galway. It's kind of that thing, Aaron, isn't it? You want the team to do well so much that you're almost bigging them up. And that's me with Galway. I just want them, the likes of Shane Walsh, the likes of Damien Comer, Sean Kelly, to excel and be at their proper level where they're supposed to be. Paul Conroy, Keely McDade, all them players. So I think Galway, honestly, with the players that they have, should be higher on the list. But I can see why you put them in 7th because of the performances that they've given. I think that's the only one, other than Cork, I think that's the only one that I'd probably have a bit of an argument with. Out of 12th to 7th. But I don't know what you think about that yourself. I just think Galway, with the players that they have, should be trying to break into that top 6 at least.
Yeah, Gaelic always says here I'd put Donegal above Roscommon and Tyrone above Galway. I was thinking that originally, but at the same time, I was just thinking back to last year, and it's a weird one with Donegal because I think when we revisit this at the end of the year, I think you probably do put Donegal above those counties. Like I'd be more confident in Donegal winning an All Ireland this year than Tyrone, Galway, Roscommon, as an example. I think Donegal would be close. I don't think any of them win an All Ireland, but I do think Donegal are closer. But I just think, as in right now, like if you're looking back at last year, Donegal beaten in the last 12, had an awful year. I know obviously it was different management and everything else, but it is only 2 games for Jim McGuinness. So I think that's the main thing, is that it's probably just a bit premature to put them above Roscommon, Tyrone, these teams right now. But at the same time, at the end of the year, like we probably do have Donegal a lot higher, in fairness.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like they hammered Cork on the first day. Maybe the game against Cavan probably epitomised that Donegal still have a lot of work to do to get up to them levels. You think about that comment even more, I'd actually put them above Tyrone Roscommon. I personally would anyway. I think they're motoring along nicely. Ryan McHugh, Paddy McBrear, the Ocean Gallen, and you have Jimmy in the dugout as well. And that's a big thing. Personally, I still wouldn't put them above Galway just yet. Let's not forget, like, I know Galway have very good players and they failed to get up to that pedestal, but in the last 2 seasons, they reached an All-Ireland final in 2022 and they were close enough to carry in that game. And as well as that, last year, their biggest losing margin in the championship was 1 point against Armagh and against Mayo. They were that close. I know they didn't reach a quarterfinal in the end, but it was just them itty-bitty moments at the end. If they beat Armagh in that game in Park Sean McDermott, we could have been talking about a different story. So I just think Galway need to get something right in the last few minutes of games to move up in the pedestal of this ranking. But personally, right now for Donegal, I wouldn't put them above Galway. But thinking about it, I probably would put them above Roscommon and Tyrone.
Yeah, like I'm just throwing the image back up again. Like, it's Galway's problem maybe the record that they have against the type of teams like around them here. Like, obviously they beat Armagh 2 years ago, but lost to them last season when they played Monaghan. I suppose they have a decent enough record against Monaghan, but I think we remember Monaghan beating them a couple of years ago to relegate them. The record against Mayo at the moment is really poor. I think Porrick Joyce has only managed 2 wins against Mayo in both league and championship in his time in charge. Fair enough, they beat Derry in the semi-finals a couple of years ago, but championship record wise against Dublin, against Kerry, they beat Tyrone last year in the Super 8s, or not in the Super 8s, in the group stages. But I just feel like their record against a lot of the other bigger teams has been something that's sort of let them down. And yeah, I just don't think it's quite clicked yet for Galway. I think that's the problem, and they haven't kicked on since that All-Ireland final 2 years ago.
The thing is though with Kerry, and this is a stat for you, since 2017 or 2018, should I say, Galway have played Kerry twice in the championship, and they've won one and lost one. The one they lost was the All-Ireland final 2 years ago. So I don't think, like, it's almost like they don't fear Kerry, Galway. I think when Dublin come up against them, I think in the championship particularly, I think they fear them automatically. And obviously they beat Derry 2 years ago in the All-Ireland semi-finals. So I don't think they're far away. I genuinely don't, Aaron. I just think things need to click for them. The likes of Comer, the likes of Shane Walsh, Robbie Finnerty, and Matthew Tierney, look, they're quality footballers. They need to be up at the top end each and every year with the semi-finals and all that. And yeah, even look at them 6-1, like Armagh, both the Monaghan. I know Monaghan reached out of the semi-final last year, and deservedly so, may I add. I know it went to penalties against Armagh, but they deserved to win that day. They were the much better team on the day. But for Galway to be below them with all the infrastructure put into Galway, I think Galway wouldn't have wanted that in the last few seasons. But for Monaghan, I think more so, I think it epitomises how well Monaghan are doing, that we're putting them high up in these rankings. They've done absolutely outstanding. And for those complaining between Cork or Kildare or Meath or Cavan or whoever down the list, look at Monaghan. Look at the population that's there, and look at the resources they're getting out of these players. It's absolutely outstanding. They do it year in, year out. And it's just admirable in many ways what Vinnie Corey is doing. I thought he struggled last season, but to get to All-Ireland semi-final, and not only get to an All-Ireland semi-final, but not to roll over either, to push Dublin nearly all the way. Like, let's not forget, before the Dean Rock goal, Dublin were on the ropes against Monaghan. Monaghan were trying their utmost to get back into the game. Dean Rock scores that goal, and that's that then. But it was far from a 5-point game, that game. That was an incredible game of football, and Monaghan definitely contributed to that. So, yeah, I think Monaghan, more than anything, are doing absolutely brilliantly. And before we get into the top three as well, but Mayo, look, it's a fair kind of chunk that they're at fourth. Like, they beat Kerry last year, lost to Dublin in that quarter final. They just need to peak at the right time. I still think there's very good players in that Mayo team. Kevin McStay is a good coach. I just think that peaking is the obvious thing. They peaked at the wrong time last year, and it cost them badly.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think there maybe is a case you could maybe have Monaghan above Mayo. But maybe before we discuss that, like Armagh, I put them in sixth. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't know if I am being slightly generous with Armagh. Like, obviously they got relegated last season from Division 1. They've had a good enough start to Division 2, but even at that, they struggled a little bit against Louth and just about got over the line. Again, as you said, they only lost to Monaghan via penalties. It probably is a hard one with Armagh, because obviously they've lost a couple of All-Ireland quarterfinals in a row, got to an Ulster final last season. Like, to be fair, I don't think they're really anywhere near the likes of Derry, Dublin, or Kerry. I think I don't think they're obviously not far off Monaghan, Mayo. But again, I don't think Galway, Tyrone, I really think between probably 4 down to 10, you probably, like, any of those teams could probably beat anyone. And to be fair, Louth could have a great crack in any of them as well. And we saw that last year when Louth played Mayo, to be fair. So
Yeah, maybe so, but maybe it was down to the fact, I think, even looking back at it, because I stupidly predicted that Louth would put it up to Kerry in that last group game because of their performance against Mayo. Maybe even hindsight's a beautiful thing. Maybe even thinking back to that, Mayo underperformed in that game. That's just an honest assumption there. I just think Mayo, there's more in them than that performance against Louth that day. So I think from 4 to 10, I think could beat anybody definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if Donegal in 10 beat Mayo in 4. That's how this kind of section of the power rankings is so close to call. It really is. And then there's an obvious top 3, which we'll get onto with the second, I'd imagine. But yeah, those sides are very, very close to each other, and I wouldn't be surprised if, as I said, if Donegal go on and beat Mayo this season.
Yeah, I really don't think there's a lot, but much between a lot of them. In fairness, Rory says here, do you think Mayo could get the Connacht title back? I think they definitely have the ability. They definitely have the players. I think it's a strange one because, like, a lot of us have probably looked at Mayo as the best team in Connacht over the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, they didn't win the Connacht title in the last 2 seasons. Lost to Roscommon as well. So lost to Roscommon in the semi-finals last season. So yeah, it's our quarterfinals. So it's been a strange one, really, with Mayo at the best of times. Like, if they're at their absolute best and they're at their peak in Connacht, I think they're more than capable of winning Connacht. But as it's been with Mayo, really for the last 10 years or so, they just seem to really struggle when they get to Connacht. And sometimes when they get into the All-Ireland series, they'll find their way. And when they get to the semi-final, final stage, they'll start to click into gear. But they do always seem to really struggle in Connacht for some reason.
That's the thing, and I just think they need kind of an easy draw to get them going. Someone like a Sligo, someone like a London or New York or Leitrim. I think they need those sorts of sides in one side of the draw and let Galway and Roscommon beat each other up on the other side. I think Mayo need that kind of luck too. In all honesty, they had it in 2021 and then they won Connacht. So I just feel, yeah, it was a tough one for them last year, wasn't it, against Roscommon? And not only that, to play a league final the week before, and we have to take that into consideration as well. Like, that was, I think Mayo would have learned from their mistakes there. Don't go into a league final. Don't go hot and heavy into a league final and then go into Connacht the next week against Roscommon. That's something that Kevin McSteen needs to learn and fast. But I think they're definitely capable of winning a Connacht. There's no doubt about that. They have the players. They have the coach. The mentality is obviously always the thing with Mayo teams.
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I have Monaghan in 5th, Mayo in 4th. Do you think there's an argument that Monaghan could be above Mayo, considering, like, Monaghan did beat Mayo in the league last season? Obviously, fair enough, Mayo had already gotten into a league final, so Mayo maybe had nothing to play for. But Monaghan did reach an All-Ireland semi-final as well, in fairness, and they definitely gave a better display up to Dublin than Mayo did in the championship. So is there an argument that Monaghan could be maybe above Mayo and maybe Monaghan are in 4th instead?
You could argue it, but at the same time, I'd still have Mayo above them, simply because let's not forget last year, Monaghan were in a similar situation as Dublin are last year. They lost their opening 2 games in Division 1. So, like, I'd still have Mayo. I just think the problem with Mayo last year, they peaked at the wrong time. And that was the honest truth of it. If they peaked at the right time, they would have been deep into the championship. But the fact they peaked at the time of the league, at the time in Killarney against Kerry, I think that was the wrong thing to do. And they paid for it, whereas Monaghan peaked when it mattered most in the quarterfinals, in the semi-finals, and that's how they got more success against the likes of the Armaghs, the Dublins, all them. So I just feel it's about peaking at the right stage, and I think if Mayo peak at the right stage, I think they'd be better than Monaghan on any given day in a quarterfinal or a semi-final.
Yeah, Finton says here Sligo are no pushovers. They're certainly not, and like, I have Kildare in 18th and Sligo in 22nd, but they obviously drew when they played each other in the group stages last season. So I really don't think there's much between Sligo, Clare, Offaly, Kildare, Antrim, and I think you've seen that with some of the recent results. In fairness, so when we redo this, could very well have Sligo a lot higher. Mikey says Dubs are still my number 1, Derry 2, and Kerry 3. Yeah, I suppose that moves on to the top 3 then. So Derry 3, Dublin 2, Kerry in first. I suppose my justification of having Kerry above Dublin, I suppose, well, first of all, having Derry in third. Obviously, Derry have had a strong start to the league. They beat Kerry and everything else, and it's been a good start for them. But at the same time, they obviously haven't got to an All-Ireland final in, 20 odd years. And when they've come up against Kerry and Dublin in Croke Park in the last couple of years, they haven't been able to get over the line, albeit they were very close to beating Kerry last year. Dublin obviously are All-Ireland champions, and there is a strong argument you could still have them at number 1. And to be honest, it's not even looking at the early form of the league, because as I've said before, I actually don't think Dublin were that bad in the opening 2 games, especially the last game out against Mayo. I just think overall, when you look at Dublin in terms of the core group of their players are slowing down, are aging. Like, there is an argument that those players mightn't be as good this year as last season. And I think when you look at Kerry, like, they've still got all their best players in their prime. And, when you look back at that All-Ireland final last year, like, obviously Clifford misses a couple of chances, but I think Dublin need to be at their absolute best to stop Kerry, whereas Kerry just need to be at their normal level. And I think that's maybe the difference between the two, in my opinion. You could argue maybe that you still leave Dublin at number 1 for now, and then, at the end of the year, you revisit it, and if Kerry have toppled Dublin, then maybe you put them above. But what do you think in regards to that top 3?
I think you're disrespecting Derry a bit too much. I think Derry, I know they're only 3, but I think they're 2, personally. I think Dublin are 3. I just think right now, right as of now, I think Derry look really, really good. With Conor Glass in the middle, Brendan Rodgers. The thing is with Dublin, they need them older guard players. Cluxton, Fitzsimons, McCarthy, McCaffrey, Fenton, to make the team tick. And as well as that, in midfield, I think, if you're going to compare the top 3, the big 3, let's say, of midfielders there, Derry wipes Kerry and Dublin. That's just my honest truth of it, with Conor Glass, with Brendan Rodgers. Whereas Dublin only have Fenton. Like, if you kill him McGuinness, maybe build up a partnership there. And Kerry, Joe O'Connor and Barry Dan O'Sullivan are relatively new to the role. Dermot O'Connor, is a good enough midfielder, but like, they need more midfielders to get a midfield partnership going for Kerry. And I just think Derry's is more settled with Conor Glass and Brendan Rodgers. So for me, if that's the thing with it, because most people would have Derry at number 3, but out of them 3 big sides, Derry have undoubtedly the best midfield out of them. And that's the key component on the pitch. So I just feel Derry have to be higher. I'd have Derry personally at number 2. I'd have Dublin at number 3 personally, because I just feel Fitzsimons, Cluxton, McCarthy, they need to be there for Dublin to tick. If they're not there, I don't think the younger players are stepping up as much, and that's the issue for Dublin in a future season or future games this season. And Kerry, I'd have them number 1 personally. I think if you have Paulie Clifford putting the ball in, if you have Shawnee O'Shea at full forward, and if David Clifford in the corner, that's going to be difficult to stop. That's going to be an unbelievable forward line. I don't think it's almost like Kerry are unstoppable then if you have those. If you have them talents there. I think the main issue with Kerry, I think Jason Foley's decent in pressure cooker games, in fairness. Thomas Sullivan's good as well. Ty Morley, once he's back at centre back, is very good. Shane Ryan, that kind of spine in defence and attack are very good for Kerry. My issue is to make them a perfect team now. They're close to perfect as it is, but I just feel to make them the ultimate perfect team, they need a midfield partnership. The likes of Joe O'Connor and Barry Dan O'Sullivan need to state their claim in this team. I think Dermot O'Connor needs to find a position, whether it be wing forward, whether it be midfield. But I think Kerry are as close to perfect as you could get. I know this is controversial for yourself personally, but I just feel that Derry are at a higher stage than Dublin are right now. Look at Derry's performance the last day against Tyrone. It was awesome. Against Kerry on the first day, it was superb. I know Kerry were missing David Clifford, Body Clifford, and that has to be taken into account as well. But even to go down to Tralee and get the win, that's absolutely vital as well. So I just feel this Derry team under Mickey Hart, under kind of a new mentality, I think this Derry team are to be feared this season.
I think they definitely are on the way. I just don't think they've done enough just yet. I don't think you can look too much into the opening two league games, and like Dublin obviously did win the All Ireland last season. In fairness, if I do strongly think if Dublin had played Derry last year in the championship, I think we would have beaten them. I think it would have been close, but I think we just would have narrowly got over the line, maybe in a similar way to how we beat Monaghan. And I'd still be relatively confident Dublin could beat Derry if they play them in the championship later in the year. I think obviously there's a lot that's going to happen between now and then. A lot of games are going to be played. We're going to know a lot more about either side. There's probably going to be group stages involved. So it's going to be interesting to see obviously what happens until then. Fintan does make a good point here. Have Derry got the panel? Have Derry got the forwards though? Because obviously the midfielders, fair enough, I do agree. I think Derry's midfield probably is better right now, especially with the fact that we don't really have a partner for Fenton. You could argue James McCarthy probably plays in midfield in the championship, and then maybe Jack McCaffrey goes to wing back, and Owen Merchant comes in as well. John Small. But if Derry got have Derry got the same quality of forwards overall as Dublin? Like that's the, I know they've introduced a few new players, Cormac Murphy, Ethan Doherty, but have they got the same sort of killer instinct type players as Dublin have, do you think?
I think they have the potential to go that way. Now, Niall Loughlin's a brilliant player as well, who's stagnated over the last few seasons. I think Charlie Diamond is a good young player as well. I think Kieran McFaul usually plays around the half-back role. He usually plays at number 12, so he probably count in that situation as well. Lachlan Murray is like a live wire coming onto the pitch as well. And obviously, you have the main man himself in Shea McGuigan, who's the top scorer last season in the championship, deservedly so. 2 goals, 52 points. You couldn't ask much more from him. So, I think other than David Clifford, Shea McGuigan is definitely up there as one of the best forwards in the country. And do Dublin have that right now? Conor O'Callaghan, granted, but I think he's an excellent forward, don't get me wrong, Conor O'Callaghan, but I think Shea McGuigan, as of now, is a better player than him. Cormac Costello, possibly, he had a very good year last year, don't get me wrong. Paul Manning's another player, but I just feel, I definitely agree with Sean there. Yeah, Kerry dynasty. Yeah, I think, honestly, that's Kerry team is absolutely superb. But on to Derry, Dermot and Joe O'Connor, the partnership. Yeah, some Kerry fans have argued that Dermot is half forward, number 10. So I don't know what's the story with that, but I've relations with Kerry, so they're just telling me that. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one with Dublin forwards. Like Costello had a good year last year. Paul Mannion had a decent year as well. But I think overall, I think McGuigan is one of the best forwards in the country, and that's your answer. If you have him flying fit in your team, I think you give any chance of winning. And you look at Derry's defence in terms of starting as well. Chris McCaig is still knocking about. Garrett McKinless is excellent. Owen Lynch is like a 15th outfield player there for them. Conor McCluskey performed immensely last season. You have Owen McAvoy, good young player there. Conor Doherty is well able to contribute to the attack as well. So I think Derry, there is a question obviously about their bench. I think Cormac Murphy can contribute to coming onto the pitch there. But I feel Derry's start at 15 is definitely up there with Kerry's and Dublin's. I genuinely think so, because you look at the players named off the sheet: Brendan Rodgers, Conor Glass, Garrett McKinless, Shea McGuigan, Niall Loughlin, Kieran McFaul, Owen Lynch, Chrissy McCaig. Like, they're excellent players. I think they can't be taken lightly whatsoever, and especially McGuigan up front. It's just a special player.
Yeah, plenty of comments to run through here. James says, loud fan here. Seriously think Cork might get relegated considering the showing they had in RD the weekend. Very worried if I'm a Cork man. Yeah, absolutely. I think that very well could be a strong case of relegation for Cork this year. Gavin says Armagh's kind of high. Roscommon thrown a Galway up at Armagh last year. They were a great team in 2022, but Armagh just play to defence considering their forwards. It's just one of them between Armagh, Roscommon, Tyrone and Galway. I think you could probably jumble them up and put them any number, really. I don't think there's a lot between a lot of them. I do think I would agree. I think Armagh and Galway, and that's probably maybe one thing actually about Galway is that if Galway, like, because Galway changed their football quite considerably from how they played in 2022, and Armagh a little bit as well. Like, they're a lot more pragmatic now. They're a lot more defensive. There's a lot, like, I've seen Colin Parkinson on Twitter mentioning control as the new sort of buzzword that gets sort of sprung around in Gaelic football nowadays, and we see Galway, Armagh, like two sides who seem to keep the ball for large parts, but don't maybe take as much risks as they used to. And you feel like if those two were to come out of their shells a little bit, play a bit more on the front football, then maybe they would, kick on, and maybe they would be a lot closer to that top 3 or top 4. Because I do think both sides are not a million miles off, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a relevant argument that Gavin makes there about Roscommon and Armagh and Tyrone and all them. But let's not forget these sorts of results as well. I'm not I don't think Armagh should be 6. I personally think Galway should be 6. But this is the reason why I think you'd have Armagh above Galway, Roscommon and Tyrone. And this is just a reason now. Tyrone drew against Westmeath. Roscommon lost to Cork. Galway are very inconsistent in the way they play. So that's probably the reason why. And it's about getting these consistencies. And that's the thing between Mayo and Donegal. They're so close together because each and every one of them are very inconsistent with the results. And another thing as well, you ran Kildare at 18. Roscommon lost to them last year.
Yeah.
So that's another comment about it. We talk about Cork and Kildare struggling. Roscommon lost to both counties last season. So could you really put them in the top 6? So that's a relevant argument there. Tyrone as well. Tyrone's the one that disappoints me as well as Galway. They have the talent. There's no doubt about that. It's about consistency. And I keep banging on about this as well. Galway need to be more consistent. Tyrone do, Donegal, Mayo, all them. They need to peak at the right stage and all that. But it's all about getting the components right with these teams. And that's why Derry, Dublin and Kerry are so far ahead of the rest of them. Because the consistency levels are so far above those countries. And that's the general reason why. But honestly, I can actually see why you'd have Armagh above those counties, considering the inconsistencies of the others.
Yeah, Shane was saying here as a Kerry man, I think Killian Burke fixes the half forward issue. Paddy at 11, Shawnee at 14, Clifford at 13. I think Joe and Jermo will settle themselves as the midfield duo. So Kerry, like, you've got Kerry obviously as a number 1 as well. So you'll be fairly confident they're gonna win the All Ireland this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they're gonna win it. I think they're going to get a canter at Munster, to be honest with you. I think they'll hammer a team in the quarterfinals like they did against Tyrone last year. I think once they come up against Dublin and Derry, they need a very good performance. I think the comment actually, this is a completely different sport to GAA, but Rob Carney actually made a comment about Ireland and New Zealand Rugby World Cup last year. He said that Ireland, if they were at 90% or 80 or 90%, I don't know the figure exactly, they would beat New Zealand. The fact they were at 70%, they lost the game. And I think that's a similar situation with Kerry. I think if they're at, let's say, 85% to their level of their 100% performance rate, I think Kerry will beat Dublin. And I think they'll beat Derry as well. But if the thing is, and this is the caveat for Kerry fans, if they're at 70% or they're at 65%, there's trouble there. So there's just a lot of narratives around this, but I feel if Kerry go along really nicely from here until the end of the season, I think they're really clear favourites for the All Ireland this year.
Yeah, maybe not related to GAA, but Gaelic Ice is Ireland, England in the same Nations League group. So there you go. That could be tasty. Mikey says, "Where's the Tailteann cut-off point in Division 2? Is it 7th and above?" Do you want to explain that?
I'll put it this way: if Meath stay up, then the Division 3 winners will get into the Sam Maguire, disregarding any unknown unexpected results, let's just say. So it all goes to pan, basically, because we know Clare are on a different side to Cork and Kerry in the Munster Championship. So it's only second place in Division 3 that doesn't get into the All-Ireland series, the runner-up in the Division 3 final. But that's only if Meath stay up in Division 2. But if they go down, then the cut-off point is 6th place in Division 2. I think we lost our host there. So hopefully Aaron gets back in a few minutes' time.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're back again. We're back again. Apologies there. Yeah, and I'd imagine you explained the whole scenario there around the Tailteann Cup, but yeah, like it's probably is one of them where like if Meath finish 7th, then the 6th place team in Division 2 could end up in the Tailteann Cup. So I suppose like everybody, like a lot of teams secretly might be hoping Meath actually avoid relegation because you feel like that could really mess the whole thing up.
That's the thing, yeah. And I think other than Cork and Kildare, this present moment in time, I think everybody be just hoping for me to stay open. Particularly, I think the one side that would lose if me go down or down. No pun intended, by the way. But yeah, I think down. Like if they canter home a Division 3 this year and then end up being in the Tailteann Cup anyway, I think that'd be a kick in the teeth for them. Really would. And to be honest, given Down's trajectory, I don't think they deserve that. I think they have a good team coming through the ranks, the likes of Owen Murdoch, Daniel Guinness, all them. I think they're very, very good players. Pat Avon, obviously. And obviously Conor Laverty has them in good light at the moment. So I think it'd be a kick in the teeth for them if Meath do actually go down.
Absolutely. So we'll run through the power rankings just before we finish up and run through them all again. So 32nd is Waterford, 31st London, Longford 30th, Tipperary 29th, Limerick 28th, Carlow 27th, Wexford 26th, Leitrim 25th, Laois 24th, and Wicklow is 23rd. Sligo 22nd, Clare 21st, Offaly 20th, Antrim 19th, Kildare 18th, Westmeath 17th, Down 16th, Meath 15th, Cavan 14th, and Fermanagh 13th. And then the top 12, Cork 12th, Louth 11th, Donegal 10th, Roscommon 9th, Tyrone 8th, Galway 7th, Armagh 6th, Monaghan 5th, Mayo 4th, Derry 3rd, Dublin 2nd, and Kerry in 1st. Come the end of the championship season, do you think that Kerry will still be ranked 1st, Dublin will still be ranked 2nd, or you reckon Derry will jump the queue a little bit and finish 2nd?
I think Derry will be 2nd and Kerry will be 1st. That's my honest opinion towards the end of the season. I think Kerry will win the All-Ireland if all goes to plan. And as Rob Carty would have quoted there, if Kerry are at 85, 90% in games, I think they'll win the All-Ireland.
Yeah, Mikey says, imagine if Down and Antrim get promoted and Westmeath and Clare get to provincial finals, not impossible. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if Kildare get relegated and they're on that side of the draw in the Leinster Championship as well, it could just, again, that could completely imbalance the whole scenario. And you would feel so bad for a side like Antrim missing out, on the All-Ireland series if they were to, if that was to happen. But yeah, look, that's been the power rankings. That's been all 32 sides in Gaelic football right now, ranked from 32 down to 1. Let us know in the comments down below, what are your power rankings? Let us know which ones you disagree with. Let us know what you agree with as well. And as always, hit the like button and subscribe. Apologies for a few connection issues there towards the end. I definitely need to sort this internet problem out. But yeah, Matthew, cheers very much for coming on, and anyone who tuned in, we'll speak to you all soon.